Okay, we all ready to roll? Yes, see? What a great group. And you guys are cool too. You guys are good too. You guys want a good joke you can share? And usually it's an adult joke, but you can do it here. You go, hey, you know what? Palacio, man, I don't care what Eddie says. I think you're great, man. Use that for yourself.
He knows.
Use that for yourself. I'm going to share screen here with those of you who are virtual. And you guys will be able to see what's going on here. I want to welcome everyone quickly. Beautiful. And I want to start off with I want to thank the Next Level group for participating the way that you have been. Also, this will be pretty cool. You guys know we have a trip to Grand Cayman, which is really cool. So I'm going to actually mute out the broadcast so we don't get copyright. Okay. So I want to start off. I got a chance to speak and share some stories with our company last week at SLC. So if you can imagine running a division meeting or SC1 or TLA Prep, but for all the district and division managers and vector marketing, was a little for Andrew here. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share a pretty cool. I'll talk to you about my high school for a second. So this is where I went to school. Yes, I went to a very expensive prep school. I'm that guy you want on your team. I'm incredible. All boys, Loyola Blakefield in Baltimore, Maryland. And if you know and are from Baltimore, you know that the prep school system there is way different than anything I've ever experienced, even more than in Miami. I know there are prep schools down in Miami. And in Baltimore, if you're raised in a certain community, you just don't send your kids to public school. It's not in a disrespectful way, but you just would never do that in where I'm from. And you go to one of the big 12. There are 12 major prep schools up there. Some are co-ed, like 2 of them, or most of them are all boys or all girls. My sister went to Notre Dame Prep, all girls, the equivalent of Lourdes down in Miami. Okay, I went to Loyola Blakefield, the equivalent of Belen or Columbus, something to that effect. In fact, it's so cult-like, almost cult-like. Or if I were to say to someone, "Hey, where'd you go to school, Marcel?" No one. If you're from Baltimore, I know you're from Baltimore because you don't say your college, you say your high school, even as an adult. "Hey, where'd you go to school? You're from Baltimore? Reed, where'd you go to school?" "I went to Maryvale Prep." "Oh, I went to Loyola Blakefield," and it's not uncommon. Even though I am proud to be a University of Maryland Terp, and we don't say that. That's how strong the bond, the networking is. I could call and go into my alumni association right now, and I could find 5 lawyers, 2 to 3 doctors, accountants who would do things for me for free because I went to Loyola. It's like that kind of fraternity feel, if you will. So Loyola Blakefield is based on the Catholic Jesuit Saint Ignatius of Loyola. He's the patron saint. Any trivia buffs here, or Catholic buffs, or any saint buffs? Learn close. That's the best answer I've gotten in several years. He is the patron saint of retreat and debrief. Well, I'd say debrief, but retreat. So when you go to Loyola Blakefield, you go on this retreat. Any Belen Jesuit here? Okay, Belen does their version of that. It's a retreat. It's called Encounter.
We don't recruit those kids.
You don't recruit those kids. You stay away from those guys.
Yeah.
We say the same thing about Cabra Hall. We don't. All boys public school. That's what we call them. Loyola Blakefield. If you notice, this one of the signs that's up across campus, and yes, we have a campus, is Men for Others. So we're raising men for others and how they carry themselves. So on Instagram, there's a following. I'm not on Instagram much, but when I am, I always check the Loyola Blakefield alumni page. This is a really cool alumni. 1950 is when he graduated from Loyola. And he wrote a letter that spoke about his Jesuit education. He would go to confirmation every week. He'd go to mass on Wednesday mornings, etc. The scholastic priests were there for the guidance during your teenage years. And he wrote down, "When I applied for a Department of Defense Intelligence Agency position, I had a series of tests. One test was working with an artificial language. With my 4 years of Latin, need I say more? We had to take Latin for 4 years." And he said, "This began my 30-year career with the government in that agency." And he writes down, "I am Jesuit trained." And so this is one of those, if you're from this high school, drop the mic moments. And I want to talk about that. I am Jesuit trained. And if you know, this is Latin at the bottom. Ad Moriam Dei Gloria, for the greater glory of God. That's what that means. Okay? Some of you know that. So I remember thinking about that. And, for me, that's where United Train came from. But for the company I shared, I didn't say United Train because I'm not going to say that for vector marketing, but being vector trained, because vector training, forget running a Cutco office, forget silver cups, forget all that great stuff, which is part of the business. Vector training is really good life training. You guys agree? Light bulb on that? Maybe, sympathy light bulb? How about a pity light bulb? Give me a pity light bulb. Okay. Okay. Vector training is really, really, really good life training. And I want to share, when I first became a division manager and I said, "Oh, I'm going to go on a business trip. I have a DVM meeting in Dallas. I'm a businessman. I'm going on a trip." I thought to myself, "Oh, where's my fancy scotch? I'm going to sit in first class in my fancy suit." This looks like something I would wear almost, right? Does anyone know what show this is? It's Mad Men, okay? So I'm thinking, man, this is what business travel is like. But then if you travel enough, some of you have traveled a lot, you know that sometimes it ends up not so much like this, but depending on your luck of the draw, you'll end up with more so like that. Okay, or my favorite is when you're like this one. This is my favorite. When you're trying to do work and the large individual who happens to be in the middle row, of course, he's falling asleep on you. This is a true story. Not a real picture, but a true story for me. So I'm on a plane 3 weeks ago, coming back on business. I sit down and I'm in the exit aisle. It's my choice, a seat of choice. And there's this really well-dressed, good-looking guy next to me. You can tell he's in business, and we're both doing the same thing, getting our calls and texts in before they make you shut off the phone. I know you're a businessman or woman when I see that usually in the exit aisle or in first class. We're texting, and I hear him give a little check-in with his wife. I love you too. How are the kids? I hear that. I'm checking in with Heidi. It's really, really funny. We hang up the phone, and of course, last second text, and we even text when they say the phone should be off. Like living on the edge, right? Okay, I'm really living on the edge. Finally, the phones are off, and I pull out my journal. Pull out this one, and I start journaling because I can't use my phone, and I have some planning to do and some important thoughts to get down in my journal. And he taps me on the shoulder or on the leg. And he goes, "Hey, do you mind me asking you, how often do you do that?" I said, "Journal?" He goes, "Yeah, I know it's really important. I'm sure it keeps you laser focused, right? Really intentional." I said, "It really does." And it went on for a 30, 45-minute conversation. It started with, "What do you write down in your journal?" I won't read it, but do you mind me looking at your journal? So I showed him all the pages, and he goes, and he used choice language. He goes, "Holy poop," because it's the same every day. Yeah, I said, "Consistency is key." And he goes, and he had a light bulb. He didn't do the light bulb. He goes, "Can I write that down?" Yeah, so I'm sitting there. I had a TLA Prep with this guy. He's a grown-ass man. I had a 45-minute TLA Prep with this guy. And of course, when you're in business and you're sitting next to someone, they're asking, what's the question you get all the time? "So what do you do?" I'll tell you what we talked about later in that story. Vector trained. So from there, I said, I'm missing one story from my wind-up, and this became my story. I said, what are all the things that I just taught this guy that are second nature to me, but because I'm with the Crazy Knife Company, this is automatic. And this is a guy who doesn't have this, and I'll tell you in a second what he does. And he's not an entry-level salesperson. He's not an entry-level business person. So vector training, you could easily sub out United Training, right? In United Training, vector training, I learned that there's always a gift in all the challenges, right? I learned that. I learned that in vector training, attitude is everything, having a great attitude about life, as our man Gary Vee here says. When you're vector trained, you learn patience. Right? And every time I say something you learn, think about that for a second. And when you're vector trained, you have no regrets, right? You commit, or in this case, no regrets. What movie? We're the Millers. You have no regrets. Okay. When you're vector United trained, those damn red dots. Okay. But up and down the board, when someone does something positive, I'm holding my breath, waiting for, that's my COI. There's a pride in the fact that when, let's say, Josie puts in startup, 3 people who are very close to her will say, that's my COI. Why? Because there's a pride in what these circles represent, who you talk to above, equal, and below. When you're Vector United trained, we've learned that when you take and give value to young people through 4 years of college so they can become a 5-star recruit, it becomes a great business. Our business model is like no one else because we give all this value to 17 to 25-year-olds. That's Vector trained, it's United trained. When you're Vector trained, you really appreciate being a big fish in a small pond. And there are a lot of things to say that Vector is not. You could spend an hour saying all the things that Vector marketing is not. But ready? I know what we are. We're the student development company. We're the knife company. We're the cut through college company. We're the company that selects and works with more college students than any company in North America. I know that for sure. And when you're here, being a big fish in a small pond, when you're 21, 22, 23 years old, and you break the national record and you go to the national conference where everyone knows your name, Andrew Evans, you don't even know who the hell the other 350 people are, you're a big fish in a small pond. Right? There are companies where a department of a department of a department would be the size of our national conference last week. But our whole company fits into the Gaylord Hotel in Washington, D.C. But it's awesome. You know, when you're Vector United trained, you learn empathy. Instead of wanting to give advice and telling people what to do, it's really weird. You start to think about what the other person thinks first before what you want to say. That's called empathy. You learn that here. You learn that Picking the hard thing to do, doing hard poop is the best way to live your life because you become a virtuous person. You have character, you have grit, you have tough skin. Need I say more? Planning. At 18 and 19 and 20, vector training means you know the value and you use a planner. Some of your parents don't even use a planner, and they're professionals. Not to knock your parents. I'm talking about how great things are here and taking advantage of the training here. Here, when you're vector trained, personal growth is really cool. Think about this. We celebrate personal growth. People are posting, hey, I just saw this really awesome. I'm watching the TLA page. I just saw this awesome quote, or I'm reading this book and they're highly. Rihanna was the last one I saw. How to Win Friends and Influence People that we were reading. Yeah, people get an affirmation and a yes. Great public speaker. I read these things, by the way. You think I read everything. Great public speakers get nods and yeses. I get light bulbs. That's my version of it. But that's cool here. That's cool here. Go back to, and we're in FSU, right? Go back to campus during the school year and during the week and ask someone, hey, what are you reading for fun? What are you reading on your own to grow yourself? That's okay. What? What? I'll leave. Think about that one for a second. That's okay. You like that, Neil? Okay. Right? But here, if you're in even 1 year process of United training, you will have read four out of these 6. And it's a requirement. Here, if you're vector trained, you make decisions first. You don't go on feelings. That's why right now, when the poop is hitting the fan, and a third of you, even physically in front of me, have wanted to quit or are thinking, oh, and some of you watching this have already said to your manager, I'm done, I'm quitting. That's what you think. You may have said those words. The words may have come out of your mouth. In fact, they may have gone through your head. You're not quitting. Why? Because we start with decision when you're vector trained. Today, one of the assignments, vector trained is a vector trained person is self-aware. And a self-aware person uses tools like Vector Live to analyze your business, 5 love languages, and CBI to evaluate who you are and get a real good picture and look in the mirror. That's vector trained. Vector trained means you journal. I mean, next level, we were talking about that all session today. Intentionally journaling and writing down your goals and dreams so that you can tangibly look at what you want and desire every day to keep you motivated and keep you focused. When you're vector trained, you don't look at the other grass to see if it's greener. You water your grass here. You take care of it. And you also understand that when you start to look other places, the first thing to think is not what I think most people think. Maybe it's better over there. The first way that we think is, all right, what am I not doing here? It's called being responsible. It's called taking ownership. In vector training, we learned that, thank you, Rachel Gutman, we learned that creating signature, this went to the whole company, by the way. We learned that creating signature experiences, like renting out the top baller suite at the W Hotel, but that's several of you there, creating signature experiences can create retention. Okay. Creating signature experiences can create retention, and that experiences alone can get people to want to be here. Some of you, raise your hand, are here partly because of experiences you've had, and you don't want to miss out. FOMO, if you will. Okay, hence some of you 7-hour drive to come here. I would imagine there's a little FOMO going on there. But I like FOMO. Okay. There's Josie. Josie, your picture is in front of the whole company. When you're vector trained, you learn the power of recognition and competition and how to leverage it for the good of the person, not the good of the office. And I went on a whole story, and ironically, Josie's in front of me. But when you take someone who really isn't quite as sure what they want to do school-wise, but is already focused, but you can bring out even more from someone who's already kind of vector trained by their parents, which is Josie. But you just get even more from someone because they're excited to compete and make a name for themselves. When you're vector trained, you learn what's called a napkin talk. And this one happens to be in Lawrence virtually. But I did this with almost every one of you, where you go through the next 2, 3, 4 years. Ask any of your folks who work in corporate America. Ask your parents, they're doctors and lawyers. Has their person above them give them a thought or a vision or a clear plan for the next 3, 4, 5 years? Raise your hand if you feel like you have a pretty clear plan for the next 2, 3 years. That makes you way ahead of the curve for most people. Way ahead of the curve. When you're vector trained, you know that teamwork makes the dream work. And having fancy U sign, gang signs, borderline, right? Super handshakes and logos is not just for the cool factor, but it creates unity. And when you go to conferences and everyone's putting up the U, it creates solidarity. And there are people on our team, even watching right now, who in high school and in college have no group to associate with, are not cool, are not part of the gang. But when you're here, it doesn't matter. If you're part of the United team, you're part of the crew here. And there's something to be said about that. That's part of vector training. In vector training, you learn that when you start the summer and your business plan goes out the door, Luke Masico, we had to practically burn our business plan. And this gigantic alliance that was going to crush the summer with 25 people ended up being 7. Remember this, Mila? There were 7. We're going to have 20 people in the alliance. There were 7 people. And I think we were like begging Josh to come. So I call that 6. This was our mighty, not so mighty alliance. But I learned when you're vector trained, when you're United trained, you learn that RITA, recruiting, is the answer. And your next alliance looks like this. That's what happens when you're vector trained. And then your next team meeting a couple weeks later after the pajama party there is that team meeting when you're shipping almost 100 or over 100 grand in new business weekly. All because you know the power of recruiting for your company. Right? So vector trained. And I don't know about you, but it makes me damn proud. I could go for an hour. Those are the ones that just stood out to me. And I remember talking to this guy, and let me also come back. So what do you do? He said, have you heard of Cutco knives? He says, no way. Jess Tuchin is the #1 sales manager for advertising sales for LinkedIn in the country. He's based out of Boston, and he's vector trained. Started in the division manager pilot, Ryan Tremblow's office in 2001. And he said, and I'm quoting, he goes, holy shit, are you from Baltimore? I said, yeah, you were at that conference in the Poconos, weren't you? He's like, oh my God. This is when I was winning my silver cup. And he goes, I remember you, bro. Wow, you're still doing this? Oh, and it went that was the first hour of vector train of that flight. The second hour was him telling me his Cutco story. And you couldn't write a better story for a plane ride, for a Cutco story. Here it is, true story. Any light bulbs? Yes? Okay. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to list off for you, real quick, journal, notebook, pen. I'd like you to list off for you, so we can appreciate this for a second. What are the 3 to 5 biggest vector trained lessons that you've gained? If you are virtual, go ahead and post them on the WhatsApp page. If you're virtual, go ahead and post. What are your 3 to 5 for you personally? Not what you think Jeff wants you to say, not what Mike or Karina or Orlando or David Delgado or Luke or Andrew or Grace, David Vargas or Carlos. Not what they would want you to say. For you, man, in my time with Vector, 2, 3, 5, 7 summers, first summer, second summer coming up, what are the 3 to 5 biggest vector train lessons I've gained that have given me the most value? Top 3 to 5. Your top 3 to 5 vector train, United train lessons. Can be a word, be full phrase, up to you. Ronald Rivera says COI, positivity, and time management. Zach Schachter in Indiana says celebrating personal growth, COI, and planning. Eddie Arcos says time management, communication, COI. Allison Quinton says power hour planning, accountability, and COI. Just like COI, huh? No time like the present to get started on your future, Molloy Molloy. Say no, Molloy Molloy, and COI. Alex Couture, planning, gift, and challenges, and sell yourself, skills. Marty Grady, Jr., always people better and worse than you, so reach out to the best for their best practices, positive attitude, and habits. Amanda Swanson, planning, COI, financial awareness. Mark Kowalski, 5. I'll read the first 3. Planning, journaling, and conversation. I'm just going to go down to a lot of COI, accountability, money management. Let's go around here. Sean, what are your 3? Working with others in sales. Like managing emotions is a big one. Josie.
especially with social influence, being the best version of myself and doing the things necessary to be that, I guess.
Yeah.
And then setting high goals and working for them. But even if I don't reach them, I work hard for it.
It's okay to not hit the number, but it's better to at least have set the number or the goal. I like that. We'll go around here. Eddie.
So, there are a few. One was definitely intentional thought and action.
Okay, so being intentional, planning, journaling.
And serving leadership, the concept of and how to do it. And then watching Andrew how to run effective meetings.
I like it. Mr. Mike Abramowitz, can you pick 2 or 3 people to share down there? And then Karina, I'll have you pick 2 or 3 people to share over in the pilot. Anyone can share. I'll unmute. Top 3 favorite vector train lessons.
TLA Prep? Yeah. A gift in the challenges, for sure, patience, and being a big fish in a small pond.
That has to be Tyler.
You know?
For sure.
Cool. Trey?
Growth only comes
Louder.
Growth only comes when you're uncomfortable. Financial management and the rule of 72.
Outstanding. One more over in Clearwater.
Actually,
All right, circle of influence, personal growth, teamwork makes the dream work.
I like that. Okay, let's go to the pilot. Give me a 2 or 3 over there on the pilot.
Where we're planning and also controlling your energy and experiencing it personally.
Okay. Who else?
Process equals results, values equal accountability, and dare to fail forward.
Okay, good. Dare to fall forward. I like that. One more over in the pilot. Dumonceau or Rihanna. Rihanna, either one or both.
Consistency is key. Communication is important, and becoming the best version of myself.
Okay, Dumonceau, wrap us up.
Writing your goals down so that when you're not feeling that you should pursue those goals or why you are pursuing those goals.
Outstanding. Thank you for sharing. How about here at the pilot? This pilot now. Give me Rachel, 2 or 3 big vector train lessons for you.
Limiting beliefs, and then financial habits.
I love that. Yeah, I love it. Can I share a story with your dad real quick? A good one. We had parents' night, and Dr. Gutman kind of into it, not really. Then all of a sudden, after something happened, Dr. Gutman couldn't stop nodding. I was getting light bulbs, inadvertent light bulbs from this dad. I'm like, wow, something happened. Thumbs up. And I wrote down part of TLA is you're going to read these books for financial awareness. And he goes, you know what? I've been trying to get my kid to read these damn books for years. Now she wants to read it. I'm in. That's what he said. He said, she wants to read it now. I'm in. This is great. Awesome. Okay. Sometimes that's all it takes. Rhiannon, top 3. Planning and budgeting.
Signature experience.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And
Water your own grass and then learn lessons from other people. Good. Mr. Luke, what are some big ones for you?
Don't stress or complain about anything in your control the situation.
Okay, so you are always in control of something. Okay, ready? You know this is another this is a united lesson. You might not be able to control everything, but there's 2 things you always control. What is it? Attitude and effort. No matter what. Puerto Ricans can say this all day long. Grace and David and everyone who's watching this from Puerto Rico, or your families from Puerto Rico, like Chewy, and your family. They can't control weather or whatever's happening or relief or FEMA or anything. What can you control? Attitude and work ethic and attitude and effort to what they're doing. Andrew, you've been here a long time. Into a dinosaur at this point.
Yeah. I wrote down how to bring energy to do everything you do. Being intentional, time management, influence.
Here, last one.
I talked about where I put time management skills and planning, learning to manage up the time of life you need in order to get the most value from advice and controlling emotions, not making decisions when emotions are high, logic is low.
Yeah, don't make a permanent decision on a temporary situation. You heard that before, Prep? Don't make a permanent decision. Maybe it's a light bulb for some people on a temporary decision. Okay, so let's do this. Next level, help me out here. We just went through in Business. Raise your hand if you understand the concept of quarters. First quarter report, fourth quarter report. How's the business? How's the company doing the second quarter? Raise your hand if you understand what that means. Josie, explain to the group from what you think it means. What does it mean, or you don't know? Take a wild guess. An effort, a good effort at guess is better than no guess. Give me a guess. If I say six, right? So you're evaluating quarterly. We in Cutco we're kind of weird. We do it by campaign. What campaigns do we have? How many? 3. Fall campaign 3 starts January. Campaign 1, summer campaign 2, fall campaign 3. But most companies now, Vector Marketing above, and Cutco, Mr. Jim Stitt, senior who you'll meet, they do everything through quarter. So what's the first quarter report? How's the second quarter report? How's profit? How are expenses? How are results? Why is that important? Why is that important? Next level, first year. Yeah, so you can adjust. I want you to write down, adjust. The importance of having, the importance of quarterly report and quarterly evaluation is to adjust. Not before, now I know why. Okay. So, let me give you some perspective on TLA. For as long as TLA feels like it's been going, and all these things that have happened, TLA is an 8-month process. We just finished the first quarter, and that's it. Okay, and I want you to write that down. So if you do decide to take the time to debrief these notes, which I encourage you to do, we've only gone through the first quarter. So ironically enough, this prep is perfectly timed 2 months into TLA. Every 2 months is a quarter for TLA. There's September, October, quarter 1. November, December, into winter break, quarter 2. January, February, quarter 3. March, April, and ironically enough, there we are for the summer. So we've only gone through the first quarter. And if you really buy into Vector Train and United Train, you know that all challenges have what at the end, no matter how bad they are? A gift or a lesson, okay? So I want you to write down for yourself, what are the biggest gifts, lessons, challenges, positive experiences? What are the best gifts, challenges, or lessons, we'll call it, from quarter 1 of TLA? Some of you had a feather, brick, or a truck D2 experience. Feather experience is, feather. Oh, D2, how cute. Some of you had a brick D2. It's like, what the hell was that? Was a brick in my head. Some of you had that experience. Some of you got run over by a truck, and that was your D2, and you might still be going through it. About 10 of you in TLA, there's what, 80 of us, 70 of us? About 10 or 12 of you are just now going into D2. Those are my favorite because you're like in denial the whole time. Oh, I didn't have a D2. I'm already past D2. Ah, in your face, here's D2. So what are the biggest lessons from quarter 1 of TLA? Either challenges that are gifts or lessons that didn't have to be a challenge. Either one. Real quick. In a second, I'm going to have you share with your partner. You have to narrow it down. 3 to 5, I'll give you some flexibility. What are the top 3 to 5 lessons and or gifts in challenge, gifts through challenge, quarter 1 of TLA? And district managers, don't be afraid to share that, your version of that with your class during the break here. If you're virtual, go ahead and post on the WhatsApp page. Top 3 to 5 gifts, lessons. Anyone here want to share? Mila.
If it's easy, we don't want it.
If it's easy, we don't want it. I know I don't want it if it's easy.
Our lives change when our habits change.
Yes. And
And that no matter what, you can always control your attitude.
Attitude and effort. So those are big quarter one lessons. Delila, returning branch, next level training, third time around.
For me, definitely the realization of how much the people you surround yourself affect you. When you're working out every day, it makes you feel great.
Yep, energy management.
Yes, and other people's opinions about you don't.
Other people's opinions about you don't really matter. I agree. You ready? You should have no business in what other people think about you. You have no time for that. What else? What challenges or lessons from quarter one? Eddie.
So D2 is real, but it's only as real as you make it. And then kind of the same thing with this side. I mean, be intentional with those you spend your time with. It's an investment in the type, and it's the type of investment that always gives you some sort of return, whether positive or negative.
Yep.
And for me, the biggest one is prioritizing. It's easy to say yes to everything and be confident because you want to be involved in a lot, but recognizing what matters and what doesn't, and giving time and energy to what does.
Cool. I'm not going to go around. I'm going to go right next step of this one. Write down the biggest challenge of quarter one you've had. And we're not sharing this one if you don't want to, so be as real as you can be. What has been the biggest challenge or high point of your D2 phase, either one, however you want to term it? Biggest challenge of D2, biggest adversity or challenge of quarter one TLA. We're going to use these smart business terms because when we're done with you, you're all going to be smart business people. So you're going to use smart business terms like lit. Or don't be a chotch. Is that, can you say that? Is that bad? Is that a bad word? No. Okay. I can say that's not a okay. That's not cursing, right? Okay. Good job. Right, I'll give you another 30 seconds. It should be pretty apparent, or you're really in it and can't see it. That's probably another. If you don't know what to write right now, you might be heavy in D2. Might need to ask someone to help you out. Real friends tell you what's really going on, right? Got it? And ready? Next step. In NLG, we kind of did this. Next step, I want you to write down, how did you respond or handle it? How did you respond or handle it? Or how are you responding now and handling it if it's happening now? So what was the biggest challenge of quarter one TLA? How did you respond and or react? And the last part is, if you could do it over, how would you respond or react differently? What is your biggest TLA quarter one challenge or gifting lesson? How are you how have you or how are you handling or responding now or reacting if it wasn't great? Number 3, how would you redo it, do it over, or what do you need to adjust now? Hub facilitators, I'm going to ask Mike and Karina in just a second. We're going to do a little pair share. Love for you to share. You can either, if you don't feel like you want to share your challenge, that's okay. No one's forcing that. If you'd rather, your drop down is sharing your top 3 to 4 gifts of quarter one. But if you really want to get down to it, share your biggest challenge of quarter one, how you handled it, and how you would do it over. Okay? Let's take the next 5 minutes to do so. So find a partner right next to you, across from you. If you're virtual, if you want to FaceTime someone that you know's on, you can do that. Right now, I want you to share that. All right, we got 1 more minute. 1 more minute. We'll get back at it. 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Back at it. 30 seconds. Thanks for the random roll. Thanks for the random pair share, Lauren Miro. Thanks for the random pair share, Giovanni. Thanks for the random pair share, Malloy. And don't worry, the rest of you are still opportunity to be victims. Don't worry. Oh, and Grace Velez. Okay, let's do this real quick. Can we bring it in? You know when you're on a field trip and
Yeah, they go like this.
okay. Can anyone share if they whatever your partner shared with you? Did anyone have a partner share a really good lesson or how they handled adversity, or maybe they screwed it up but they learned a really good lesson of how they would do it differently? Ask permission first, and I'd love for you to share. Kira, you're gonna ask her for permission. Okay. So Kira's gonna share Josie's. Go ahead.
So
What was the?
we had the same problem, or kind of part of D2 that is affecting us, and it's basically just the prioritizing of what is important going on in our lives right now. We just happen to have like the same exact things going on that's really busy, making us busy. So definitely prioritizing, and the way we're gonna be solving that is to obviously get a better morning routine down, because you become way more efficient when you make your big three, what to do that day. That kind of leaves no room for slacking off on any aspect, and following the schedule.
Yeah. And part, here's what I was saying for a college student in you. I'm not in a place in my life where I'm going out and have fraternity or sorority events or parties during the weekdays. I don't even let alcohol touch my mouth during the week, and some of you religiously make sure, So, if we're just being real. Morning routine doesn't mean you have to wake up at the same time. It means when you do get up at the time you already agreed to, you're going to have the same routine when you get up. Like Luke, for example, has a morning routine that on Thursdays I know doesn't start till like 11 or noon for whatever 11 or noon reasons. But it's the same routine. It's the same as it would be when it's summer and it's 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever the 6:45, between 6 and 6:30 for next level, right? So just food for thought. Cool. Thank you for sharing. We'll do one more here, then we'll go back to Clearwater or Pilot if anyone else wants to share one. Do one more over here. Who's got a part of the shit are really good? Hey, this could really help other people here, or your own. Eric, who'd you share with?
I had Eddie.
Eddie de las Cuevas. And what was Eddie's challenge? What did he do? What would he do differently? What's the lesson?
He said his biggest challenge was living at the fraternity house, like time management, energy management, basically like prioritizing what he had to do and when he needed to do it. His resolution was that just start scheduling and planning better ahead of time, not leaving like the room for error like he was before. That was like a big thing for me. So I'm trying to get more organized.
Every time someone hits D2, one of my top 3 questions are: who are you talking to? What time are you getting up? Or how's your morning routine? / are you journaling? And my third one, always, did you plan for the week? Every time. And usually, one of those, no. Or before I even say it, you're right. So if you're gonna come vent up to me, I'm totally cool. But if you're talking to the wrong people, you're not planning intentionally at least an hour for every week to get your schedule right and adjust, and you're not working on a positive morning routine, do that first before you call and vent. And then vent. Cool? Thanks for sharing. How about over to Clearwater? Then we'll go to Pilot. And I'm going to wrap up with a few things here. Anyone over there? In Clearwater land.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, handsome.
All right. So, all right. So, who would like to go here?
Anyone in Clearwater have a challenge that they want to share, or they heard was shared to them, was handled poorly, and there's a lesson from it, or was handled really well? Who's that?
Hello, everybody. It's Amanda.
Hello, everybody. Amanda, go ahead.
So one of my challenges is I'm just trying to avoid D2 at all costs. So I just do extra appointments, make my phone calls, and just stay on top of everything, just so I don't let myself fall into that tracks me too.
Good. Would you do anything differently?
No, because I just stay on top of it all.
Yeah, and I would. I mean, this was not on purpose for Amanda to participate, but I would put Amanda in the top 10 percentile right now. Always seen her getting a startup post, sales post, running interviews post, something post. She's not the only one on that list, but there's probably 20 of you on the top on that high trajectory 10% list. So the challenge for Amanda is to stay on it, right? Cool. Thanks for sharing. How about over in Fort Lauderdale? We
and
like
just to echo something that Amanda said, Jeff, that might be helpful for the division.
Please.
She said, "I'm doing everything at all costs to not get into D2." It's one of the things, or whatever word choice she chose, but one of the things I would say is if you know it's coming and it's like almost like you see the undertow, you see the way the ocean's gonna go. If you're trying to avoid it, that's one way to do it. Or work really, really hard to get around it or not go around it. That's one way to do it. It will happen. It's a part of the learning process. It's going to eventually happen. But what's nice about what Amanda is saying is when it does happen, I'm going to be equipped, I'm going to be prepared, and I'm going to be able to handle it rationally versus emotionally because I'm doing the action. So that way it's going to be the feather and it's not going to be the brick or the truck where it could injure her opportunity. So I just wanted to echo that.
Well, that's smart business people. Smart business people know there's going to be a dip or decline. Good. Thanks, Mike. How about Karina, Mike, Karina or David over in Fort Lauderdale? Hello? Is this thing on? Tough crowd. Hello? Fort Lauderdale? Hello, Mom? Hello? No? Okay. One more over here. Another good lesson. Can I put it on the spot real quick? I'm gonna go to our top branch here. If there's a lesson and a way to handle that you would wish every single person here knew really well for the last 2 summers. Number 1 branch in the whole company 2 years in a row and then had 100+% increase in production. I mean, you guys know the story. If you had one lesson you wish everyone here understood going into running your office this coming summer, and don't forget it, what is it? Now I'll ask Luke the same question in a second.
Number 1 lesson going into the
summer. One of the top. Doesn't mean that. Come back to
the one thing I got.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to word this right, but I mean, the top thing is just like you get what you put in to everything, like in life. You know what I mean? So, like when you go out and run your own office, like it's not easy. I think it's not easy like at all. So, and you just get what you put in. You know, like the work ethic that you bring every single day, but you gotta have a why that's strong enough to carry it throughout. Like I said, throughout the highs and lows. I'm talking about going through D2 now. It's really easy. It's really hard to navigate through D2 when you like don't have long-term vision. When you have long-term vision, you know, like we were just mentioning earlier, it's like, yeah, it happens. You have lows. It's inevitable. But like when you're thinking about next summer or 2 summers down the road or 2 or 3 years, or you know, in just general life, the person that you're going to become 2 or 3 years down the road, it's really easy to do that. You know, when you want to go to the gym just to go to the gym, and you're just like, you know, it's really, and you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and you don't have a long-term vision, but then like I just want to do this 2-week program versus, you know, your 2 or 3 year vision of you creating and turning into the self where, you know, you are very, very fit, where you have energy on a daily basis. It's a lot easier to make those decisions. So, you know, go in, conscientious, stick with the long-term vision, work really, really hard.
I agree. That's for sure.
That's really
nice. Yeah. I have one that I wish every year. This is my 21st summer, 22 years coming up. Something crazy like that, okay? And I wish every year, since the beginning when I wasn't as experienced to arguably the best point of my career right now, is that 2 things. You seldomly will see a business that reflects you if you're not personally growing. That's another way to say that. Your level of success in your business will very rarely exceed your level of personal development. When you want to grow up, your business will grow up. When you don't want to grow up, your business won't catch up.
The success is something you attract that person.
Yeah. Success is it's something you attract from the person you're becoming or become. So think about that. So for those of you For those of you that are doing things that you know are still college you and not best version of you, and you guys know that, we're being real here, it's going to be hard to catch up. Andrew has done things personally and business that are ahead of his years, and you don't have to wait till there's no age that says, okay, now it's time to grow up. You can grow up at 14. Some people are forced to. When you grow up, faster you grow up, the success you see and I want to be that, you have to be there. We have to be there first. Okay? I was talking, Karina, can I share? Do a thumbs up to share our conversation? I'm just going to say yeah, sorry. I had dinner with Karina, and I said, you've seen Florida Caribbean to now where it is now Florida United, and now where it's going. To Andrew's point, I'm really clear because I'm talking about 2019. I'm skipping a damn year. So everything in between is going to happen great because I'm crystal clear on 2019 when at that SLC, where I'm going to teach the company how to run TLA to help our whole company get better. That's what we're going to do. But Karina said, okay, well, here's where I noticed it started to just boom. When there were certain players that left and you got out of the division that didn't line up with the core values of our team. All of you, because the district managers, all of you line up with my core values and the core values of what Florida United is all about. True professionalism, explosive team building, high standards of sales performance, and most important, aggressive pursuit of growth. And the type of people that I want to be around. I value, you guys know what I value, respect, legacy, faith, love, energy, humility. Those are my 5 or 6, depending how you look at it. All of you embody that because Mike Abramowitz, because Grace Velez, because David Vargas, because Karina Marquez, because Orlando Bierstein, because Andrew Evans, because Carlos Cordero, all of David Delgado, Luke Maseko, they all embody that. So therefore, you're all from them. That's why our division's clicking. But then she said it was around the time you started dating Heidi. Okay, so for me, I decided to grow up and get serious at 36. I'm 39 now. So at 35, I got really serious about, okay, whatever I'm doing now is not really the best. So you don't have to wait till 35 to find someone you want to be with to do that. That's what I wish everyone would hear and do it now. Because the sooner you do it now, you get a lot more. The fun and the best part of your life accelerates closer to you. Cool? Okay. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Okay. Last thing, if you could go to the best version of you scorecard. It's in the opening comments folder. I'll put it up on the screen here so you know what it looks like. Okay, and if you're virtual land, you go to folder number 1, opening comments. It's the only thing in there. And I'll share right now. Looks like this. Okay. So if you notice, there's the best version of you, 8-player scorecard. 5 is the highest. You feel like it's on point, perfect. 1 is terrible, non-existent. Just quickly go through. And some of you have done this already. Some of you have done this twice. I want to see, let's do a real quarterly review. It's end of quarter 1, TLA. It's a different one, next level than what we did.
Same way the districts did, right?
Yeah, I would like everyone to do it over. It's on the first folder, folder 1. So I'll just read it out loud to Proctor, if you will. Rate yourself. This is a quick test. This will take us 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. You should know the number. I mean, you'll go 3, 5, 1. Morning routine. From getting yourself mentally or psychologically or faith-based in the right place in the morning. Getting a proper amount of sleep. I would say 5 to 8. I could argue 6 to 8. But in college, 5 tends to work. Or 2.
3.5.
Up before 7 a.m. or earlier to start routine for your day. Not every day. I know we're in college, we're having fun, but journaling. Do you even have a planner that you view as quality? Or you just still have that raggedy, ratchet-looking notebook? Ratchet, you guys understand ratchet? United daily entry routine. So your big 3, what are you grateful for? What am I going to do to be the best version? How on point is that? I encourage the districts, Mike and Grace and Karina, David Delgado. Over here, I've got Andrew and Luke. Same thing. Daily and weekly exercise, fitness, nutrition, and food habits. not perfect. Right? I think Kirsten and Heidi and I were talking about this. It's not perfect, but overall, do you make good choices eating? So that when you do go in that, I call it a food bender. Like wings, I love wings. I love chicken wings. So, anyone here love chicken wings like I do? Is it? It's one of the 6 food groups. So when you have it, you don't go, oh, it's all you know. I normally eat really well that one night or sometimes weekend fun in New York City. You get a bunch of chicken. That's no big deal. Back at it. Meal prep. Go into planning. Do you check your planner morning, PM, AM, PM? You do your weekly 1 to 2 hours of planning for the week. For next level, I would say sometimes you need 2 hours. The more advanced you get, 1 to 2 hours for the week, but at least 1 hour. Phone is off, airplane mode, no computer. You're not in a very loud area. You're away from people. Our division would move mountains right now if every person for 2 weeks did a power hour. Because half of you ain't doing it. I know for a fact. I ask you. I won't say who. Honest answer, yes or no. Are you doing power hour? No. Cry face, cry face, cry face, cry face. You know that cry face, this one? That face, although it's supposed to be sad, makes me laugh every time. Weekly power hour. Overall planner usage. Let's talk about money. Weekly budgeting and tracking, whether it's the big 3 technique, or you're paying attention to your finances weekly, or you just swipe the bank of mom, or the bank of dad, or the bank of I saved a lot of money this summer, I'm just going through it. Monthly budgeting and tracking. There's a lot to be said about those of you that didn't turn in the assignment or don't have it done today, or those of you that put it together last minute, just threw a bunch of numbers so you could have it in, or those of you that really did it and went through your expenses. Annual budgeting, tracking. That's probably low for many of you. It's not something you think about. $100 rule, but the higher you get. $500 rule for vet branches. For DMs, $1,000 rule. For vet DMs, $10,000 rule. You know, I did that. I have DMs that spend over 10 grand on something that I really don't approve, and they really should have gone through the process. I have first year spending over 100. It's the same thing. We had a great exchange, Palacio and I. I know what you're going to say. I read all over your face. I already know. I already know what's going on over there. Okay. Forced withholdings. Do you have withholdings in place where you can't change it and it comes out automatically? I would rather someone say, hey, Jeff, it's a mailie. I need to release blank because I need some things coming up, but you always have things taken out that you have permanently withheld. Meal prep and groceries. It came up twice. Why does this fall under finances? Why does meal prep fall under finances? Saves you money. Okay. Last few here. Separate accounts. Do you have multiple accounts for the different buckets we mentioned? We'll go back into buckets in the spring more. Understanding taxes. Do you have financial COIs? Here's a really interesting one, especially for all of you in my mind are district manager candidates. You have to be, but you're going to be here cut through college, right? Your district manager or senior district or division manager, do you have circles of influence for whenever you are going to spend over a number? For first years, it's 1,000. For second, third, fourth years, it's 500. For new districts, it's 1,000. For vet districts, it's 10,000. It just goes up. Whenever you're about to spend, do you have a system and an order of people you call and get counsel from? Because anyone that I know is independently wealthy, that's a millionaire, let's say. Everyone I know, I've interviewed them, I've talked to them about money. And we all agree when we talk about our money is that we don't make decisions on big money without going through a certain step-by-step. There's 1 or 2 or 3 people we talk to, and we get counsel or approval, or more so counsel, and then we feel good about it. Maybe it's your lawyer, accountant, financial advisor, me, for some of you that don't have that yet. Your overall financial acumen and knowledge. Circle of influence. How are the people? Are you intentional? Ready? The number's 3. Don't kid yourself. Well, I learned from this and this and this and this. It's 3. Who are the 3 above, 3 below, and 3 equal? And do you have it set in your schedule to talk to them? Or are they on? How interesting is that some of you put people in the circle they don't even know that they wouldn't even know that you're putting them in your circle because you don't talk to them. Communication in general. How's your communication? For those of you that decided conveniently to let me know that you're not going to be live at a hub or you have to do virtual or something came up, 24 hours the night before. 2 of you this morning. Right? I'm not mad. I'm just saying. I'm not mad. I'm just saying. It's very clear. I didn't, and I got a couple. Well, I didn't know that. I'm pretty clear. Yeah, 1 week in advance. If you need an exception, I've got Ella B. Michael Blyer, Grant Strayer, Giovanni. Can't read my handwriting. What is that? Someone, Hunter, Tracer, Kate Pinsker, Carlos Mesa, and the person I can't read. I'm so sorry, I can't read you. Starts with an R, but Ronald Rivera. Sorry, you guys all reached out to me well over a week. We went back and forth. We discussed it. That's how you do it. I can be flexible, but I'm not a contortionist. You like that? I can be flexible. That's not for me. It's from Adam Stock. I can be flexible. I'm not a contortionist. By the way, what do you call a really flexible Filipino? A manila folder. That's another Adam Stock joke. Okay, I'll let you think about that for a second. Response to WhatsApp, email, and requests. Some people, I'll reach out on WhatsApp, and it takes 48 hours for a response. That gives me a lot of confidence to give you an office. What happens when, and branches, raise your hand. What happens when it's the day of and it's Wednesday? Hey guys, check your email for something urgent for meeting tonight. If you're not responding for 2-3 days at a time, you lost all the advantage of that message. Appropriate professional communication to superiors. Presentation, an image. How is your overall presentation of yourself? Your professional attire, your grooming, hygiene, energy level, positive impression. Your language. I know we joke around about some of the choice language, and it's fun, but in general, the more and more you like and super and basically and totally, the less educated you sound. That is a fact. And some of you are okay with that, but just tape yourself. It's interesting coming to Tallahassee and going to get tacos by yourself last night, having a drink and having tacos, FaceTiming Heidi, and I hear, so basically I was literally dying, and so, oh my God, OMG. This is, quote, what I was hearing next to these 2 young ladies next to me. And I said, literally OMG is what I heard. I said, that doesn't sound like someone who I want to be led by. That sounds like someone I want to gossip with or go to a party with, maybe. Maybe. Like. So just food for thought. Self-management. Overall emotional management. Would your manager call you an emotional person? Because some of you, your managers call you an emotional person. Everything's always high emotion, low logic. Approach of handling D2 process for stress management. Not just do I talk to circles of influence. I think this is what Amanda was saying. Do I have steps that I take when things get stressful and hot and crazy and just heavy? Are you a solution finder or a problem reporter? Mature perspective of business life, overall decision-making process. Are you prompt? Are you on time? Some, 1 or 2 of you have a reputation of always showing up either right when it starts or a little late and having some type of reasoning that somehow justifies it every time. Not a lot of you. Open to feedback, constructive criticism. And then last is TRA. That's how you work with me. TRA stands for trust, respect, and accountability. Overall, are you a trustworthy person? The better question is, would people say on a scale of 1 to 5, are you a trustworthy person? Respectful and accountable.